When I was younger, I used to sit down and watch films for hours and hours and hours, but I never really thought that I could get into film because I always felt the film industries was not for people like me and kind of about who you know rather than your talent. But now I feel like because of LSA, this has given me so many more opportunities to get into film.
When I had a visitor come into my secondary school to talk about LSA, I knew it was something I had to try out. And although my parents kind of hesitated, I just went for it anyways. I feel like LSA has given me a guide to how I should start as a young filmmaker. I feel at home here.
Best thing about LSA is I would say that our students are very friendly, they're very positive, they really uplift each other. The teachers are very, very patient. They would really push you to new steps that you never knew you could get to.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining the LSA Open Event and being with us this evening. My name's Charlie Kennard. I'm the principal here at LSA. And yeah, for the next hour or so, we're going to be talking to you about LSA, what life is like LSA. We're going to give you the chance to meet some students, some staff, see the space. That's all going to be done virtually. So just a note on that. Is that this open event is going to be a mix of some pre-recorded content and some live content. Obviously, because of the context we're in, we're not all able to be in school. Our students certainly aren't, and the majority of our staff are working from home. But we really want you to be able to see the school because, you know, hopefully when you join in September, we'll be back to normal and you'll be in the school. So it's very important for us you can do that. So We're going to show some content from our open event in November. And in November, we were in school. So we pre-recorded that. So you're going to see some students speaking from some of our spaces, and we're going to show you different members of staff in different spaces around the school, introducing themselves, the space, and a little bit about different areas of our course and life at LSA. So it should be really, really great. Then we're going to come back round at the end, and we're going to have a chance for a Q&A. Lots of you have already asked some really, really good questions. Hopefully some of those questions get answered in the next hour or so as we go through some content. And obviously those that don't, we will do our best to answer today. But those that we still can't answer, we'll definitely follow up with you via email following this. So just before I pass over, I'm going to pass over to some students, which are going to be far more exciting and interesting than me. I just wanted to give you a small bit of background about the school. So LSA is a phenomenally exciting school, and I wish I was a 16-year-old right now and had the opportunity to come to a school like this. And I think it's really important that you guys know where it started and how it got to where it is now. So 5 of the biggest film producers in the world, some 5 years ago, film producers responsible for things like Harry Potter, James Bond, Top Boy, Chernobyl, Baby Driver, and all sorts of other very well-known bits of film and TV, had a look at their industry, and they said, look, the film and TV industry is booming. It's growing massively. It's doing really, really well, particularly here in the UK. And there's such a huge amount of jobs available, and there are all sorts of jobs. And, with things like Netflix and Amazon and some of the big studios where Marvel films are made, that is all at the moment happening in the UK. Which is really exciting. And even actually now, in the terrible economic situation that we're in with COVID, film continues as a key industry. So film production is actually ongoing at the moment. And it's one of the very, very few industries that is still growing in such a difficult time. So that just speaks to what an amazing opportunity it is. So these 5 producers said, we need to do something. We need more people to work across film and TV, from everything from writing, directing, producing, lighting, costume, hair, makeup. And the beautiful thing about film and TV and media more broadly is there's so many different roles. It sounds cliche, but something almost for everyone. And they said, look, let's find some way we can do that. And ultimately, they created LSA. So let's create a school where 16 to 19-year-olds can come. They can focus specifically on the skills, the knowledge and the behaviors that you need to do well in film and TV. And we can give them access to the wonderful world of film and TV, which is traditionally quite difficult to have access to. And I think lots of people think, I would love to get involved in that. And I love the idea of working in film and TV, but I just don't know how or where I might start doing that. And therefore, I might not decide to study it because it feels like a difficult, murky world. Well, the beauty of LSA is this is your pathway in. So we teach exact skills you'll need, hopefully, to go into those worlds. And we give you access with the right people. So you can go on when you leave here and hopefully go and create wonderful bits of content yourself. So really, really exciting. And we'll talk more about that. And you'll meet some of the staff who will tell you more about the curriculum in a minute. I wanted to touch on COVID because lots of questions have come in about COVID and what our curriculum looks like. So firstly, hopefully in September 21, when you guys join there, or when you hopefully join there, we will be back to normal delivering in class. But it's worth knowing that even when we are in a lockdown like now and students can't come into the building physically, all our students are given an iPad. So we give every student an iPad when they start here at LSA. And that's really great. And it's particularly great. I mean, that's not for COVID reasons. That's because we want all of our students to be working digitally and being able to create content wherever they are. And they use those in lessons, and they can take them out of lessons and take them home and continue their work there. Obviously, an iPad's a very powerful resource which you can do lots of things on. And it also means that now we're very privileged. So while lessons continue virtually, all students also have a piece of equipment to continue creating content. So we haven't paused, doing interesting technical stuff. We can continue to do that in a slightly different way. So while they're missing some of the practical lessons, they're still being able to do that. But like I said, hopefully all things look like you guys will be in from September. The other final things I wanted to say is just a little bit about who LSA is for. So, you're going to see some awesome stuff in the next, as we speak to students and some staff, And LSA really is for a huge diversity of people. There'll be some people who are watching today that are, you're 15, 16 and probably already phenomenally quite accomplished filmmakers yourself, whether that's, creating your own short films, creating amazing content on YouTube or TikTok. There'll be some of you that that aren't really sure, that just go, you know what, I love art, or I love my media classes, or I love writing in English, and I'm just curious and I want to explore. And there'll be some of you that are somewhere in between, and think, look, I want to look at doing something different, and maybe the traditional, academic A-level route not for me, so I'm exploring other options. And I think that the beauty of a place like LSA is all those people are potentially right for LSA. And the diversity of what we do and what it takes to create awesome film, TV, and creative content means there's probably something here for most people. So we're not looking for any one type of person. We're not looking solely for people who are hugely accomplished and have great film understanding and great pedigree in making film. We're looking for people who have a motivation and have a desire that want to do this. So hang tight for the next 50 minutes, and hopefully you'll find something in our school that might be right for you. So the next steps, so after today, there's lots of other touch points for you to engage with us. So we have regular taster sessions, which are a bit smaller than this, and you get to speak with members of the departments, and you talk more specifically about what happens in the classes to get an understanding. So next Tuesday, we have a costume taster session, and then we have a series after that. They're all published on our website, so you can sign up to join one of the taster sessions, which I would highly encourage you to do. It will also probably help you with your interview to come to LSA. And yeah, that is it for me. So in a minute, I'm going to pass over to some students, and they're going to show you some space, and you're going to get taken around the school. And then we will come back together once we've met students and teachers and do a Q&A. But like I said, thank you very, very much for coming. We're sad we can't be here with you all in person, but we're really excited about our next cohort, many of whom might be here with us today. So we will, I'll see you shortly.
Thank you so much, Charlie. Hi everyone, and welcome to this video. We welcome you warmly from Studio 4, which is our live broadcast room. I'm Alexandra, and I'm in year 13, and I'm on the technical pathway. I chose technical because I think over the past 2 years, I've kind of really found an interest into cameras and the lighting and the whole sound behind it. And it's super interesting to kind of be interactive with it all and kind of get the teachers to help you. So at the start of LSA, when I came in, I wanted to be an editor, but I kind of found that completely changed, and I actually want to be an assistant director. So I will pass on to Dylan now.
My name is Dylan. I also chose the technical pathway. I'm in year 13. Well, the equipment here in LSA is vast. We've been using industry standard cameras like the FX9. We've also been using smaller cameras like camcorders, and even using photography so that we can learn to shoot short films and even bigger films when we go into the industry. I'm going to be moving on to Brijon now.
Hello. My name is Brijon. I do costume at LSA. So far, we are designing our own costumes on the theme of Hunger Games. Yeah, I know we've already started designing. And costume is just brilliant. There's no other words for it. Simple. Now, here are some of our year 12s.
Hi, I'm Selena, and I'm a year 12 in the post-production pathway. I actually came to LSA from Spain, and I found out about it through a friend who knows someone who goes here. And basically I checked out the website and I saw that it was really cool and that film was what I wanted to study. So I decided to apply, and well, here I am. And I'd have to say that my favourite thing about LSA is how in class we don't just get grilled for an entire hour on just theory. We actually get to do theory and then go on the A6000s in camera, for example. We go out and shoot. Or in editing, we get told like theory, and then we come back into class with some scenes shot and we edit them on the Max. So now I will pass on to Tem.
Hello fellow students, I'm Tem. So make sure to say hi to me when you join next year. Right, so I joined LSA because it is the closest you can get to a Hogwarts of filmmaking, and I 100% mean that. I originally heard about it in my secondary school in my art class, and my teacher was like, "Yo, check this out," and I was like, "Okay." Go to the website. Oh, okay, and then I joined through that seamless application process. My favorite sort of highlight so far has been the masterclasses, and my favorite one is the one with Dan Marsden, who is a really well-established storyboard artist who is actually currently working with Tom Cruise right now for an out-of-this-world space project. Right, and talking about industry, I'm going to pass on to some of our lovely staff at LSA. See you soon.
Hi, my name is Fiona Mcguire. I'm the Industry Partnerships Director at LSA, and I head up a team of 4 people, all of whom are not teachers, but we all have first-hand experience of working in the creative industries. I joined LSA in May, having had a 26-year career in production, most recently working as head of production at Pathé, where we made award-winning features such as Philomena, The Iron Lady, Judy. I will introduce you to all of my team in a second, but before I do that, I just wanted to say that our role is to basically immerse LSA in the creative industries. We bring in industry professionals to do masterclasses and do classroom drop-ins. We also help the students form links with the creative industries through mentoring and through work placements. So now to hand over to my team. Keely?
Yes, so Fiona briefly spoke about masterclasses there, and we have them once a week for each school year, and they're fantastic. They're more general. We have incredible guests come in and speak to a whole year group about their specialism, and we have students co-host them. But we also have classroom drop-ins, and I think the beauty of that is that we can work with the teachers and heads of departments so that we know our industry input is bolstering all the learning that goes on in classrooms. We can find out what projects they're working on and what expertise would be most helpful to bring in, and I think that's a great thing that the team can bring to the school, because it's just making that inextricable link between industry and LSA. So yeah, over to Tom.
Hi, I'm Tom. I'm the Industry Progression Manager here at LSA. My role involves finding ways to get our students engaged with the industry outside of the school. This means through mentoring. Just last week we had launched our Year 13 mentoring program, where our Year 13 students can be matched to an industry professional, and finding work placement opportunities for the students. Including this year, we've managed to secure placements for some students working as runners on a grime music video shoot, and just a couple of weeks ago they also worked as runners on a shoot taking place on this very A stage where we're at right now with an award-winning director, which shows again that, as it was shot here, the amount of high quality of facilities which our students are immersed themselves into, and amongst other things. And I'm going to hand over to Warda.
Hello, just to link back to what Sakina said about masterclasses, we really tried to incorporate the masterclasses with screening. So for example, for the first week, we had a rock screening, and for the week following we had incredible guests from the film for the masterclasses for the Year 12s and the Year 13s. So they got to ask the questions to the creators of the film they've just watched, fresh in their mind, so they can interact with the film more and get to know how the film was made and just take away that aura. So that's been incredible. And also we've had some incredible things outside of school as well. So the students some students have been trained in cameras and Sony cameras, and they've also taken part in the BBC 3 documentary, and this is just the beginning of the year, so hopefully we'll have much more to come. And yeah, it's exciting. So with that I bring that back to Fiona.
So just to reiterate on something Charlie said at the beginning, I think he mentioned briefly about our founders, and we do have the most amazing founders who are still actively involved in the school, but I think the best thing about our founders and our governors is how well connected they all are, and between their connections and the team's connections, because we've all worked in the industry, we can pull in so many people that can help guide the students into the careers they're looking for. So come to LSA, hopefully we can help you.
Hi everyone, my name's Sam. I'm the Vice Principal here at LSA, and I'm going to talk to you about 3 key things that is important for students to know about coming to LSA. The first of all is that this is all about behind the scenes training. What that means is we are not going to train anyone to be an actor or on-screen talent, as they're called. We are going to focus on training people all about the roles that happen behind the scenes. If you're not sure about what those are, that's absolutely fine. The top tip we would give you at this stage is to make sure when you're watching a film, when you're on Netflix, and it finishes, you'll see the credits that run at the end of that film or TV show. Just hang on, don't skip, don't go to the next episode, just watch those credits through and you'll get a sense of the hundreds of people that go into making a film and TV show happen. Lots of us focus on those very high profile roles as well, so the actors, but also the kind of the directors or maybe the editors, the producers. We're really about those roles, but everything else that happens as well. You'll see set creators, art directors, runners, gaffers, best boys, lighting technicians, sound designers, visual effects. There's hundreds and hundreds of roles, and they are the roles that we are going to train you in. What people don't necessarily know is actually that creative industries are huge. A very, very, very small portion of those are the people that you might be aware of. What you probably don't know is that's just the tip of the iceberg. There are actually about 3 million people employed in this country in the creative industries, 1 in 11 roles nationally. So it's a really, really huge area. And for us, that's important for you to know and understand that the behind the scenes roles are what you're going to get trained on here, and that they are jobs out there in the industry that you can go on to as well. What we'll make sure we also do is we make sure that our students are set ready. So what that means is over the 2 years of the duration of the course, you are going to be trained in all of the skills you need to be ready to go out and work. So that may or may not be actually on a set in a film and TV show. There's lots of other jobs that take place in different positions, but for us it's really important that you are prepared and made ready over the 2 years to go into entry-level jobs when you leave us. So that's thinking about the concepts you need to learn, it's thinking about the skills you need to learn, it's thinking about the behaviours you need to learn, how to act as and work as a young professional out in the industry. So that's another thing that is really important for us, and one of the things you'll gain here at LSA is that set-ready skills. And the third thing are the qualifications you'll gain with us. Obviously, it's really important to know about the roles, learn about them, become set ready, but then also it's really important you have a good, strong set of qualifications that sit underneath that as well. So all students will do 2 qualifications while they're with us. The main one is the Ual Extended Diploma. So that's your main film and TV qualification. That alone is equivalent to 3 A-levels. So if you wanted to go to university, you can use that Ual Extended Diploma qualification to get access into university. The currency you use for universities are called UCAS points, and the Ual qualification we run here very, very highly recognised by universities. And it's equivalent to 3 A-levels, and it's equivalent to 3 A-star A-levels if you get the top grade. So it has direct correlation to the A-level system. And it's very well recognised by universities because it's a UAL diploma. UAL is short for the University of Arts London. So you will be getting a qualification from the University of Arts London awarding body. UAL is as a university is 2nd ranked university in the world for the arts. It's the largest arts university in Europe. So you'll come to us and get a qualification from that organisation, which is very, very highly respected, very well recognised, both by the universities, but also by employers and out in the industry as well. I said you're going to get 2 qualifications, so that's one of them. The second one will be an ADQual, so an additional qualification. Chloe McCarthy is going to talk a little bit more about that in one of our other videos, but very broadly, that ADQual will be either an English A-level or Maths A-level. It'll be an English or Maths GCSE retake if you don't get your results first time around, or it will be an extended project qualification. All of those have different values, which you'll be able to find about elsewhere on the website and in other videos, but it's really important to know that you will be doing those 2 qualifications with us, so UAL one and then your ADQual. So, just coming back to the UAL qualification and what that actually looks like and what your journey will look like across the 2 years with us. Well, we divide it down into a Year 12 and a Year 13 programme, and the broad message for you to know is that in Year 12 it's very, very open. So you will cover a wide range of bases. For us, it's really important that you understand how filmmaking, how TV production works, how all of the different departments, and I said at the start, lots and lots of different people and the credits, how they all operate and work together. So for us, it's understanding those roles and different departments that's crucial in your first year. Some of you will be coming to us with no media experience at all and just want to learn about all of those roles, and you will have the opportunity to do that. Some of you maybe want to go into a very specific thing already. You've got an idea, you want to be a camera operator, you want to be a technical director, you want to be a production designer. Equally, that's great, but we are going to ask you in the first year to do a bit of that, but also try everything else out, because we know that students will come to us, they will try things that they never knew maybe were a job or a career, or something that you actually could do as a professional living. And by trying that and finding out that actually your talent, your passion, which you didn't even know about, is there, that will help inform your decisions for Year 13 and maybe your career future as well. So the first year is all about that choice, that breadth. We break that down right across the production and development department, so that's where you'll spend a large focus of your time. And you can hear from Chris Leach, who's our head of that department, in one of the other videos as well. And then you'll get a little bit of a taste. So all students in Year 12 will do a little bit of craft. So that's kind of production design, art design, think about sets, prop making, set decorating, that sort of thing. Post-production, so that's more the post-production editing, visual effects, animation. All students do a little bit of that in Year 12. And then the technical, which is the camera, lights and sound element. And again, all students will do a little bit of that in Year 12 as well. So Year 12, you do all of this. You can choose, so you can make one elective decision to spend a little bit more time in one of these departments, but the broad message is you'll do a little bit of this in Year 12 to give you that really good understanding of film and TV production. Then into Year 13, it changes, so the graphics flipped here. And what that is because in Year 13, we ask you to now specialise a little bit more. So you've had that broad Year 12, we want you to specialise and choose one of these departments to focus on. So you might say, I'm now really interested in focusing in the craft area. So that's things like costume, it's art direction, it's hair and makeup. You might say, no, actually I'm more interested in post-production. So you can choose the post-production department to go down that editing, VFX and animation. And then technical, as I said, is camera, light, sound. You might in Year 13 say, I want to specialise and focus more on that area. So Year 13 really is where these departments are much more honed, much more specialised and focused. You've still got this production and development bit underneath here. So even in Year 13, even though you've chosen your pathway, everyone still does do a little bit of this. Again, it's really important for us because you need to understand wherever you're working, how to read a script, how script breakdowns work. You need to understand how directing works, because even if you're in craft doing hair and makeup, all of that's still going to be relevant for you when you go out into the industry. So all students will still do a little bit of production and development in Year 13 as well. So that's the broad overview of the course. As I said, UAL Level 3 Extended Diploma Qualification, equivalent to 3 A-levels, and by the end of it, over that 2-year experience, you'll have had the experience to prepare you for university, prepare you for work, or to go off into other training, so things like apprenticeships as well. Hopefully that's useful. Any questions, do please just get in touch. We look forward to seeing you in September.
Hi all, nice to meet you. I'm Chris Leach, coming to you live from prison. No, not really. This obviously is not a real prison cell. It's one of our sets downstairs on the lower ground floor in Studio 3. I am the head of department for production and development, which is quite often shortened to P&D. Sounds very fancy, but what exactly is it? Well, the first thing that I should say is that all of the students at LSA study P&D, regardless of what their pathway specialism is, and that's because we cover all of the essential knowledge and the skills that you need to be successful, irrespective of the technical or creative route that you decide to pursue. So at LSA, we call those routes pathways, and you have a choice of picking any one of these 3 that you study alongside production and development throughout the week. So first of all, there's post-production, which is where you specialize on animation, editing, visual effects. Then there's technical, which focuses more on cinematography, sound and lighting. And then finally there's crafts that encompasses costume design, art direction, hair and makeup. So that's the 3 pathways summarized. Now let's talk about P&D in a little bit more detail. Our lessons, they're split into 3 subjects. First of all, there's development that you study in both year 12 and in year 13. Then there's production that you also study in both year 12 and year 13. But then there's storytelling that you only study in year 12, and then there's script writing and direction that you only study in year 13. More details about those 2 coming up later, but to start off, I wanted to discuss development. In a nutshell, development lessons are essentially about ideas generation. So predominantly we look at the work of existing practitioners with the intention of highlighting excellent examples of both technical and creative practice. Practice that will directly inspire and influence your own development as a filmmaker. So for example, we're currently looking at a range of successful social action campaigns with our year 12 students, but with the year 13s, we are looking specifically at short films so that those learners can develop their understanding of conventions and contexts. All of this is done with the intention of helping those learners to develop stronger ideas for their own practical outcomes. Production lessons, they're slightly different. They're all about getting those amazing ideas that you've developed turned into actual physical films, but most importantly, making sure that those films are delivered on time and on budget. P&D staff are trained on industry standard software such as Movie Magic Budgeting and Movie Magic Scheduling, and as part of production lessons we will train you on that software to ensure that you approach your own filmmaking projects with those all-important organisational and planning skills that will obviously help you secure success within the screen industries. However, in production lessons, we also develop other transferable skills such as entrepreneurship and management, and we do that for an overarching understanding of this thing called screen business, where you learn about distribution, marketing, and exhibition. So combined together, those 2 subjects, development and production, they are intentionally designed to provide all of our students with the creative confidence and the set-ready professionalism required to progress. And speaking of professionalism and being set-ready, one of the reasons why I'm speaking to you from this wonderfully pink prison cell is because P&D often work in collaboration with the other 3 pathways to produce projects that overlap and complement one another. So for example, our year 13 scriptwriting students are currently developing screenplays that will then be shortlisted and commissioned into films that the technical pathway students will film in the sets downstairs right here on the lower ground floor. Now the craft students, they're going to construct those sets, and at present they are in the process of building both a cave and a submarine. Now that's just one example of how P&D work closely with the other 3 pathways to ensure that our learners have an opportunity to work on projects that accurately reflect both the demands and the expectations of the industry. The only thing that changes from year 12 to year 13 is that in year 12 you study a subject called storytelling, and in year 13 that subject is then replaced on your timetable by another subject which is called scriptwriting and direction. So storytelling, which you study in year 12, that focuses on the development of your understanding of storytelling across a wide range of formats and texts. So from poems to anime, those lessons are designed to encourage learners to recognize and embrace the human legacy of storytelling in all of its varying forms, and by doing so help you to amplify your own voice when it comes around to creating innovative and inspiring stories. So this year, the learners have been working on a transactional piece of writing, which is essentially about the stories that are fundamentally important to them, the ones that have changed their lives or have helped shape the person that they are today. Some of our learners have spoken about the significance of film, others have opted for television and literature, but some students have even focused on how video game narratives have played a really substantial role in the development and growth for them as a human being. Scriptwriting and direction, which as I mentioned you study in year 13, now that encourages you to amplify your voice even further by taking the storytelling knowledge and skills that you've developed in your first year of study by applying those specifically to the disciplines of both script and direction. Now obviously we recognise that you need to have strong technical and creative competency to be a successful filmmaker, but that alone is not enough. You also need to really know how you're going to apply those skills, and the skills that you develop in craft and technical and in post-production, how those skills come together to help you create impactful stories. So that is a very, very, very quick summary of production and development, what we do, what our lessons involve, and obviously we're looking forward to meeting you all very soon. So thank you for your time today, and hopefully I will get to meet you all in person very soon. Take care and speak to you soon.
Hi, I'm Lena. I'm head of craft here at LSA, and I'm in one of our art rooms. So you can see behind me we've got like an inspiration board, but we've also got some of the work that students did last year. So these were sections of a wall that they created and scenic painted and formed part of an alleyway which we had up in the A stage, which is one of our big studios upstairs. So that was one of the projects the art direction students did as part of craft last year. Students, if you choose the path Craftway in year 12, you have the opportunity of learning about art direction, costume and hair and makeup. So you would do all of those 3 subjects within the strand. If you don't choose craft as a subject, you still do art direction as part of your subjects, and that is for the whole year. So all students would do art direction in year 12. But if you specialise, you get to do costume and hair and makeup as well. So at the moment, our art direction students are working on a project based around Shawshank Redemption. So in one of our studios, we've built 2 prison cells. They work from script to screen, so they're looking at, they read part of the script, they break it down, they then take inspiration from that to develop a character, and then they design for that character, looking at mood boards and set dressing plans, and then they make models, and then they work on the set. So they kind of go through that process of what they would actually be doing in industry, and part of that is preparing them for when they go out of industry into the real world, out of school into industry or to university, that they have those core skills that they would need. So that's what they're doing in art direction. and costume, they are working on a variety of different things. Again, they look at character development and designing for a character. They work with scripts as well. They are making garments, or garment construction, pattern drafting, and it's based around, at the moment, the Hunger Games, so that's quite a lot of fun and some really interesting things happening up in costume. Hair and makeup in year 12 covers beauty, movie makeup, so a lot of kind of looks from different eras, alongside casualty makeup, special effects, kind of looking at dirty down, hair, so lots of different things kind of happening in makeup as well. So if you choose the craft pathway, you get to experience all of that, and a lot of the projects are linked. So across the craft pathway, you would potentially have a project that's linked within art direction, hair, makeup and costume. So next term, for example, we're going to look at Victorian era, and that will be based around a script from the Victorian era, and then it would encompass those 3 areas, so art direction, costume, hair and makeup. So if you're creative and you really enjoy those things, it's a fantastic course. If you choose the craft pathway, you get to kind of explore that creativity and to learn lots of really valuable skills that are needed for industry, which will put you in good stead when you actually go into industry, or take a further course at university. You'll have a lot of very unique skills if you take that pathway here at LSA.
Hi, my name's Julian McDonnell, and I'm head of the technical department here at London Screen Academy. So what that means is I teach camera, lighting and sound with my team. In terms of like projects and what we do, I think it's worth, if I can just contextualize it a little bit. We decided when we were devising our projects to go straight to industry and ask them the kind of skills and behaviours and concepts that they would value for a young person coming into their team. And so what we hope, because of that liaison and because of using that information, is that the kind of projects we produce are directly relevant to what the industry wants. In terms of camera, what that means is we're trying to develop a kind of robust kind of technical curiosity. We've got fantastic equipment here at LSA and some really great cameras, but the idea that you're going to be master of them in 2 years is not exactly right. So it's that kind of ability to be positive and to be curious and to be a problem solver. Those are the kind of qualities that we're trying to engender in our young people. So in the first year, for example, our projects are like begin at the very beginning, and it all is about light. It's all about light with camera. So we start off with some basic introductions to camera concepts around exposure, and then look at photography using a single light to start with, then a second light, then a third light. And so that's what they've been doing in the first term, and then moving on to moving image in the second part of the term, and coming to shoot on set down here. With the second years, they've moved on now, and so they're also doing set-based projects. This is the first set of their year, the diner set. After Christmas, we're going for a submarine set, which offers a different set of challenges. So in terms of lighting, it's much more what we call practical lights. That's lights which you would see in the shot. And we want a kind of claustrophobic set in which they will have to move the camera a lot. So we're thinking, whereas here on the diner set, they tend to be shooting quite statically, and the submarine will be on the shoulder. And then in the summer term for the second years, we're going to provide the interior of a spaceship as an option for their FMP. So you can see what we're trying to do is create a very kind of hands-on, very industry relevant set-based experience, something they can't really experience in other media centres, schools and sixth forms around the country. There is shooting off-site, and we do encourage that, and the second years and third years will both do a documentary element. But while they're here, we feel that we can give them a unique opportunity in this kind of environment. Shooting in quite large teams, so 2 cameras where you've got a camera operator and a first assistant camera, a second assistant camera, you've got 3 people on the sound team, 2 people on the lighting team, so you can imagine it's a busy place when we get going. But the feedback from the students is they really enjoy the hands-on experience. We try and be as responsive as possible to their needs, and we get lots of industry people in to guide them as they go. So that's it really from the tech team. So like I say, it's camera, lighting and sound in our strand. And the key takeaway I'd want you to think about in terms of if you were thinking of coming to this school is that everything that we try and do is informed by industry. So it's not from some textbook that was printed 20 years ago, it's from a conversation that happened a week ago, a month ago, or even yesterday. So yeah, so I really urge you, if you have the slightest interest in these areas, to come along and try us out.
My name is David Dierloff, and I'm the post-production teacher here at LSA, or rather one of them. So I'm going to briefly go over what post-production is, and then we will go into what the students actually do here in year 1 and in year 2. So post-production, for those of you that don't know, is an intrinsic part of the filmmaking process. It is an amalgamation of everyone's efforts and the post-production team's efforts. It's the last stage that the film goes through, and it gives us the final product, which we see on the screens or on our phones wherever we watch them. So I teach editing specifically here. There are 2 other departments in the post-production, which are VFX and animation. And if a student chooses to do post-production in the second year, they will be open to doing both of those. But when we come in the first year, we will be doing some editing anyway. So I'm going to briefly go over what a student would do. So in the first year, if they were to come to LSA, we look at theories that underpin certain editing techniques, and then we experiment with those theories. So 1 week we'll be looking at the Kuleshov effect, and the next week we'll be saying, okay, we are going to go and practice with the Kuleshov effect. And each week it increases in difficulty. So we've got 1 week of theory, 1 week of practical, and we're using Adobe Premiere Pro at the moment. In the second years, so what the second year actually doing now is they're editing their scene we make from last year. So they're looking at contextualization within the edit. So we're looking at a scene we make shot in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. And then they'll do some research into that period, and then they'll try and make their scene we make look like that period, say with grading, with some basic effects, with conforming the aspect ratio and whatnot. That also then ties directly into the animation and VFX department. So the animation department will be producing an animatic, which comes after that, and the VFX department will be producing a title sequence that goes to the beginning of that, which ties all of the departments together. So what are animation students going to be doing when they start their animation lessons? Well, the animation students are exploring development of concepts and developing their own animatics, moving from script to screen. So students will be building their own characters, and refining their storytelling techniques through a variety of storyboarding exercises, which then results in a final character piece. And in VFX department, they have begun their introduction to various components of After Effects and techniques. They've been looking at bespoke 2D and 3D title sequences and learning 3D modelling and 2D modelling and camera tracking. So that's kind of the post-production in like a nutshell, really. The post-production department as well sits next to core, the core department, the technical and the arts and crafts department, and it holds equal weight in importance. So it's just as important as any other department, because a film can't happen without the post-production process in it. So yeah, I really look forward to seeing you guys next year.
Hello everybody, my name is Jamie Waller. I'm the Assistant Principal for Teaching and Learning at LSA, and I also oversee the maths provision. And I'm going to be speaking to you about one of our 3 options which you can choose alongside the film and TV course. So you may have heard these referred to as ADQuals, which stands for Additional Qualification. We're actually just going to call them options from now on because that's more straightforward. You can choose from one of 3 options: maths, English or EPQ. I'll tell you a bit more about each of those shortly. So first up, why study for an additional qualification? Well, all 3 options, maths, English and EPQ, are really valuable qualifications in their own right. You'll gain skills from them, you'll enjoy them. There's a more direct payoff as well. In the near future, you'll get UCAS points to help you with your university applications. And we also know that employers really value English, maths and the EPQ. But we also see each qualification as having important crossovers with the film and TV industry, and they'll make you better filmmakers as a result. So let's look at the options in a bit more depth. In both English and maths, you can do either the A-level or the GCSE. The GCSE we call Take 2, and Take 2 is for students who don't achieve a grade 4 or above the first time round. Why study maths? Well, maths is a highly recognised qualification in its own right. Maths is so useful in the industry, whether you're thinking about being a production accountant, whether you're taking measurements for costumes or for sets, whether you're understanding sound engineering, ratios in photography, the list goes on. It's a crucial, crucial subject. For maths, for both the GCSE and the A-level, we do the Edexcel exam board. If you're studying the GCSE, you have an opportunity to enter in November or at the end of year 12. A-level, all your exams come at the end of year 13. Alongside your studies in the classroom, which will be about 4 or 5 hours a week, in maths, we want to push maths beyond the traditional curriculum. So for example, we've got exciting projects such as our Hollywood budgeting project, where we've got access to data from major Hollywood productions, and you have access to that to break it down and to analyse the spending from major Hollywood productions. Alongside maths, we have English. Now, a key part of English is storytelling, and you'll have storytelling lessons at LSA, and in many ways, storytelling is woven into everything we do here. But studying English is an additional way to enhance your skills at understanding stories and creating your own. The exam board for English is AQA. At A-level, we do English literature. We've switched recently from literature and language to literature. This is because the storytelling element of English literature A-level is so important here at LSA. The route that we take through that English literature A-level is called Love Through the Ages. So you'll be looking at texts ranging from The Great Gatsby to Othello, from A Streetcar Named Desire to The Colour Purple, and the poetry of Carol Ann Duffy. That's examined with 2 exams at the end of year 13 and is 20% coursework. And finally, we come to the EPQ, which stands for the Extended Project Qualification. You do the EPQ over 2 years, and it's graded from A star to E. It's worth half an A-level, so it is useful for your university applications if you're applying through UCAS. It will help you, it will give you UCAS tariff points, and it's also widely recognised by employers. It's entirely assessed like coursework. You complete an extended project, which here at LSA is a concept proposal and treatment for a short film or series. You'll research it, you'll produce a sample of a script, you'll create a pitch for your concept and your TV series, and you're marked on the quality of all of that. But most importantly in terms of your marks is the record of how you went about the project. So how you came up with the ideas, what sources you used, how you refined those ideas, and how you evaluated the project and thought about what you might do differently next time. So the EPQ is an incredibly valuable process, not just for improving your knowledge of the film and TV industry, but giving you the skills to work independently on a major project over a period of time. And it's definitely something to brag about when you go to potential universities or to employers. So there's a very quick rundown from me of the three options you have: maths, English, or EPQ. Make sure you ask any questions if you still have them. For now, I'm going to hand over to Raphael, who's a Director of Inclusion.
Good evening, everyone. Just Raphael Elaine here. So yes, thank you, Jamie. I'm Raphael. I'm one of the assistant principals responsible for pastoral care and inclusion at London Screen Academy. I'm just going to talk you through a little bit about the structure of pastoral care and inclusion at LSA and what that actually means at post-16. So I'll start with the inclusion side of things. We like to ensure that we have a provision to support students, whether it be academically or emotionally at school. And when it comes to the academic side, any student who has an EHCP, an Education Healthcare Plan, will have support from a learning mentor and our Deputy Senko in the school as well. Any other students who have any learning needs that we assess or that you tell us about in your paperwork when you're applying, we will ensure that we look through that and we think about what does that support look like here at LSA. We tend to work with students outside of the classroom just to build some independence and give you strategies and think about how you can apply those skills in your free time, whether that be things like organisation or maybe some of the technical aspects of the course as well. Pastorally, I'm sure you're all used to this. You all have heads of year at your school now, or maybe even heads of house. We have pastoral and professional development leads here. We like to think proactively about what your support looks like. So rather than us reacting to things, generally in school, something goes wrong, you see a head of year or your form tutor, we like to think proactively about your development. So trying to get as much information as we can about you before you come in and try and do a good job at thinking about where you want to go, where you want to be in a few years' time, and see if we can add to that with any intervention, any sort of experience that we can provide for you as well. We have a team of people who work as specialists, actually providing some other support in the school as part of the pastoral team. So we have a counsellor in school who offers drop-in sessions, or you can sign up for a block of sessions after an assessment. We have to get parental consent as well if you're under 18, but anyone can see our therapist for drop-in sessions if you just want to have a quick catch up as well. So that's normal talking therapy. She's also a dance therapist. Not many people take the dance option, but it's there for you if you should want to move about a little bit and see how that works for you. We also do some therapeutic art, which is one of our newer interventions in school. And again, some of you are familiar with this, mindfulness art, those kind of interventions. Again, it's a nice space for people to just sort of be present, practice being present, get away from everything else that might be troubling them. As you know, we're in very difficult times right now. So these kind of interventions have become very, very important to us here at LSA as well. We have a career coach who is seeing a handful of students at the moment as well, predominantly year 13s, but we want to try and bring that earlier next year into year 12, just to support students with the idea of not just where they're going in terms of career, but how to get there as well, thinking about their personal attributes and skills and some of the areas they need to personally develop. So that's career coaching, therapeutic art, and art counselling. We also have a personal development coach who's recently started with us, just again, away from career, just thinking about how to guide students with learning more about yourself, thinking about how you interact with others. As you know, it's a very, very collaborative industry. The course is very collaborative as well. And I think understanding yourself and how you work with other people becomes really, really important. So the way it generally works with all these interventions is whether it's you that comes forward or a staff member or even a parent, we look at every case and then we think about what's the appropriate intervention, and then we'll put that in place and then track the impact of that as well. So that's the support side of the school. And that's generally how we try to look after you proactively. But we would like to think that most of the support we put in place also deals with you once you've got a concern. So if you have anything on your mind, you can speak to your form tutor or any staff member, as you can do in the schools you go to now. Your pastoral professional development leads also are there for you, but we want to build a culture and make sure we've got an environment where you can speak to anyone and they'll point you in the right direction if you should have any concern. So that's generally how the inclusion team works. Other things that you might not be aware of that aren't on the surface of everything that we do is supporting people financially. So we have a travel bursary available for students should you need support with getting yourself into school, travel costs for things like rail cards, what have you. We have the same system as your previous schools now, free school meals, that's also available. You do have to reapply when you get to post 16. We can't just take information forward, so we'll be asking you for fresh paperwork for anything related to travel bursary or free school meals, but that's another area that we tend to support as well. And at this, again, the final thing I will say, at this difficult time, we do have a discretionary bursary that we would use for students if there was a need to support students financially with any area of the course. Obviously, when we're in the building, it's a very different matter. We have lots of fancy equipment, as you can imagine, to help you and support you. But as it is, when we're working from home, it's a slightly different matter. So that's it from me. I'm going to be handing over to Rochelle and Sejal now from Marketing and Admissions. Thank you.
Thank you, Raphael. So my name is Rochelle and I am the Community Partnership Manager at the London Screen Academy. So me and Sejal are going to run through the admissions process. So admissions are open. So all you need to do is head over to our website and click on the apply button on our website. Once you've done that, you'll be directed to our online portal where you'll then need to create an account. You'll input your details and then answer a series of questions where we want to find out about your interest in the film and TV, as well as why you like to study LSA. We don't ask your GCSEs just yet, we just want to know your interest into film and TV. We also created a really useful guide which gives you hints and tips on how to fill out an application form.
Thank you, Rochelle. A few people have been asking about a deadline for applying to LSA. The answer is there is no deadline to apply. We operate what's called a rolling application process. So we accept applications all the way up until the summer. However, we would still encourage you to apply as soon as possible. Once we're officially oversubscribed, we'll trigger a waiting list.
So once you've applied online, you'll then need to wait a couple of weeks to hear from us to find out if you're successful. If you're successful, you'll be invited for a telephone interview where you'll be interviewed by a member of staff, and it will allow you to give the chance to expand your application form and for us to get to know you better. If you're successful, you'll then find out if you've got a conditional offer at LSA.
And in terms of eligibility, we ask for students to have 5 GCSEs graded between 4 and 9. These don't have to be in any specific subject, so don't worry if you don't have film or media, art, any of the DT subjects. It can be any 5 GCSEs that you have. If you happen to not pass an English or maths GCSE, don't worry, as you can retake these at LSA. Also, if you find yourself at enrolment without 5 GCSEs, maybe you've got 4 that are graded from 4 to 9 or 3, there might still be a chance that we could admit you to LSA if throughout the admissions process you demonstrate the skills that we're looking for. So a real passion for film and TV, curiosity, if you're a team player and you're up for a challenge. So that's everything on admissions. We're now going to move over to the question and answer section of the open event. So thank you to everyone who has submitted questions so far. The Google form, which we sent out in the link when you signed up, that's still active. So if you have any questions, please feel free to keep feeding them through on there. Also, you can submit questions to us using Instagram. We're going to kick off with a question from Catherine, and this question is for Charlie, our principal. Charlie, Catherine would like to know, how much does the school cost to attend?
Yeah, good question, quick one. So it's like a plant question, that one, because it's a great answer. It's entirely free to attend. So we're a government funded school, which means we're funded like any other school, state school in the country. So it's entirely free to attend. And as Raf outlined in his session, because we expect students will be coming from slightly further afield, we do have bursaries and travel grants available to support students as well. Because travel might be a big thing. The other thing just worth noting on that is we're very fortunate, as I touched on at the beginning, and we have lots of great support from partners across the world of film and television. That's both in-kind support, so we have phenomenal people coming in and working with our students in the class and our teachers, as some of the teachers outlined, but also in actual practical resource. So we fundraise some additional money from Universal, from Netflix, from Sky, and that allows us to have, you know, world-class, industry standard technical IT and practical gear. So whether that's in costume, makeup, hair, camera, light, sound, or any of the post-production fields, we're very, very well equipped to, and that's incredibly important for us to prepare the students. So yeah, we're very fortunate in that sense, and we can do lots in this time we have with the students.
Thank you, Charlie. The next question is from Enzo, and he would like to ask, this one's for Rochelle, will you be doing more open events about the subjects to be taken at LSA?
Right, thank you, Enzo. That's a good question. So we are running taster sessions that will be taking place every Tuesday and Thursday, and they'll be linked to curriculum. So these taster sessions will be interactive, hands-on, and it'll be done online. So it's Tuesday and Thursday, and the first one will be kicking off on Tuesday the 26th of January, and it'll be on costume. However, we will be having others that will be on editing, camera, as well as hair and makeup. And the full list is on our website, so if you go to the events page. We are planning to do another open event in a couple of months' time, but we haven't announced that just yet. So if you keep your eyes peeled on the website, and you'll be able to find out when our next open event will be.
Perfect. Thank you, Rochelle. The next question is for Sam, and this question comes from Erica. Sam, Erica would like to know, where do most of LSA's graduates go on to?
Okay, yeah, another good question. Good evening, everybody. Well, we don't know yet, because obviously as a new school, we haven't had a graduating cohort. So we've got a year 13 group at the moment that are looking at where they're going to go at the end of this academic year. And what we think will happen is about half of them have applied to go to university. So we think probably a half to a third will go on to university. As we talked about, the UAL qualification and the AdQual that everybody does, they are worth UCAS points. And so students have applied to most of the top universities for creative arts, film, media, but also kind of associated subjects. So some students have applied to advertising, marketing, PR, and you know, we're very positive that they will go on to those. Students have applied to places internationally. So we've got some students that applied to animation schools in France. We've got some students that have applied to New York Film Academy in New York, America. So, you know, we're very positive that those students will go on. For the students that's right to, that want to go to university, we expect about a third will go directly into employment, so directly out into jobs or training within the industry. One of the key things, as we've kind of mentioned all the way through, are fantastic connections, and the fact that we're embedded in the industry means that students will be prepared to go into entry-level jobs in the industry. And then probably there will be another section, maybe around a third of students, that want to go and do something else. And I think it's really important to say that that also is an option. Just because you're choosing to come and do a film and television course, that's not closing down options. The skills that you will be learning here are incredibly transferable to all sectors. One of the things that we know is very, very apparent in the world going forward is that robots are taking over the world, and jobs are being automated. And one of the things about the creative industries is it's very low risk of being automated. And robots can't yet come in and create great scripts, create films, or even just creatively solve problems that no one's encountered before. And they're the sorts of skills that you're learning as well. So that's a very long answer, but I think, you know, broadly speaking, university, out into the industry, or onto other sectors and other industries.
Thank you, Sam. The next question comes from Simon. This one is for Rochelle. Rochelle, are students who have practical experience more likely to get a place at LSA?
Good question. So the answer is no, you're not at a disadvantage if you haven't had any previous experience or knowledge within film and TV or any practical skills. At LSA, we aim to bring new, fresh, up-and-coming talent to teach them about the various different skills, the different technical skills. So no, you won't be at a disadvantage.
Thank you, Rochelle. My next question is for Charlie, and it comes from a parent named Oz. Charlie, Oz would like to know, will there still be an induction process to determine student entry, especially amidst the uncertainty of GCSE grades, and how will this determine who is a successful applicant?
Yeah, that's a good question, and we completely acknowledge that it's a difficult year, particularly with all of you guys in exam cohorts and getting GCSE grades. So what we intentionally do is the process works is you do an interview with us, and that interview, as Sejal and Rochelle has laid out, gives us a good opportunity to understand who you are, and it tells us a whole host of stuff that your grades don't necessarily tell us. So on the back of that interview, we'll make you a conditional offer. That offer is conditional upon you obtaining those GCSEs, which Sejal just went through. Obviously, this year your GCSEs will be slightly different. We still do rely on that data and those grades, so we still are going by the GCSEs, which will be assessed via your centre. And I know that information is being sort of laid out as we speak, how that will look in each centre, but it will be likely that your school will provide you with a grade and submit that to the exam board. So at the end of August, we will then look at all the grades from students that we've made conditional offers to. Any student that has gets in contact and says, yep, I really want to come to LSA in September and I've met the criteria, brilliant, you'll come into LSA and we'll welcome you in. If you haven't met that, as Sejal said, there's a conversation to be had with every student, and we're good at that, and we make sure that we're there and we get in contact with everyone on the day and then the following day. So if you didn't make that criteria, as Sejal has just said, we will have a conversation with you. We do have an induction process at the beginning of September. That's not part of further assessment. That is to induct you into LSA. So GCC results, which this year is the 27th of November, when your results are formal, we get in touch with everyone and say, great, well done, congratulations, here's a bit more detail, we can't wait to see you next week. Anyone that doesn't get those grades, we will have a conversation, and that will be to varying different degrees what it looks like. But yeah, that's our position.
Thank you, Charlie. My next question goes to Raphael. Raphael, a student would like to know, does it matter, the question is, does it matter that I have learning difficulties?
Does it matter? Well, I guess the first hurdle is the GCSEs that you're about to go through. So that will be a good indicator of your readiness for the course. It's not an easy course by any means. Does it matter? To answer that question properly, I would say yes, it does matter, in the sense of we need to know. We need to know what those needs are. So for us to support you, we'd need to know what those needs are, so that we can communicate, yes, first of all with your teachers, but also we know how to work with you outside. So every student that sees a learning mentor and has some independent study support, they're normally working on something fairly unique. They're not all just catching up on work. Sometimes it's about organizational skills. Sometimes it's just a way to communicate actually with adults. It could be anything. But so I'd say short answer is yes, it does matter. And I think with some hard work and some proactivity and some resilience, you definitely can get through the course with the support that we offer as well. So yeah, thank you.
Amazing, thank you, Raf. My next question is for Julian, who's head of the technical pathway and department. Julian, hello. My question comes from Instagram this time, actually. The student would like to know, which editing software do we use at LSA? Sorry, that's not a question for you. Do you do photography as well, or is it mainly film?
We use Premiere Pro as editing, just off thing, and we also look at rolling out Avid later, but at the moment we're using Premiere Pro. And photography, yeah, it all starts for us in camera with photography, so that's what we'd look at first. It doesn't matter whether you've taken photographs before. I mean, imagine everyone's taking photographs now, but in terms of on a sort of camera, because for us over 2 years, it's all really understanding that camera is all about light. So it's the same principles. So we do start with photography and a project which looks at photographers and different settings, then we try and build on that knowledge. That's our kind of foundation block, and we build that, and we end up, so we go from sort of quite a sort of basic Sony camera beginning of the course to this big broadcast quality 6K camera at the end of 2 years. So there's a kind of journey from that to that.
Thank you, Julian. I'm just going to stay with you for another question, which is next. Another student on Instagram has asked, are there any musical aspects incorporated in the course?
Well, I think where you may be coming from is if you make your own music, if maybe you're a musician, if that's where you're coming from, there are lots of our students who are very musical. We do really encourage
creativity across sort of any medium, and where it can be used. So for example, where students who are interested in making their own music were able to use it in a recent project, as we did a sound project, where basically they had to relay the sound on an animation, and some of the students chose to make their own soundtracks. So using GarageBand or music they composed themselves, they put that music in. If you're interested in music as a genre, working within music, then our current year Year 12s are involved in a music video project. So they're working towards creating their own music video, and we're looking at working with either signed or unsigned artists in order to do that. So whether you're interested in music as in making it, or in music as in potentially going towards that area, yeah, I think we've got somewhere for you here.
Thanks, Julian. Our next question is for Sam. And this is from a student on Instagram who asks, how would we be assessed at the end of year 13?
Okay, yes, so assessment on the film and TV course is a little bit different. Assessment for the AdQual, so the English, Maths, State, you take the standard exams as everyone else nationally does. But for the film and TV course, it's a little bit different. So we operate a coursework-based model. So students are assessed throughout the course on the coursework that they submit and produce. But their final grade at the end of year 13 that determines their grade for their qualification is determined by a final major project that they will do at the end of the year. So it's all based on that final project. The benefit of that is that the students have the duration of their time with us to develop their skills. We're very appreciative that lots of students will come to us with a varying range of experiences and skills in this area, and we want to give them time to develop and learn and to become the best at what they do as possible. So we wait right until the end of that end of the year to assess them on that final major project, which finally determines. And that's a 10-week project that is broadly determined by the students. We provide a kind of a brief and a structure, but it's really down to the student to produce a final major project that demonstrates everything they've learned over the duration of the course and bring all of those skills together into one final.
Thank you, Sam. My next question is for Victoria. Victoria wasn't in the video that you've just seen, but Victoria is our assistant principal for film and TV. Vicky, this question has come from a student over Instagram. They'd like to know, would we learn marketing on the course?
Well, first of all, good evening, my lovelies. I am Vicky Bostock. I'm the assistant principal, as Sage also rightly points out. It's a really good question. Marketing is a crucial part of the whole kind of film and TV industry, but we don't teach it as a bespoke and discrete subject. What I mean by that is that when you look on your timetable, you won't see an hour that says you will be studying marketing. But what you will see is in your pathway and within your production and development lessons that marketing and all aspects of marketing will be incorporated into the learning within those areas, because it's important for you to understand all the aspects of the industry, pre, post, and during. So we will talk to you about marketing. We will give you examples of marketing. We will share successful marketing campaigns, but we won't teach it as a bespoke lesson as if you were being taught maths. It will be mixed into your projects.
Thank you, Vicky. It's really helpful. The next question is for Charlie. Again, this comes from a student over Instagram. Charlie, this student would like to know, are there any extracurricular activities at LSA?
Yeah, really good question. I'd love to know what activities this student's interested in. But yes, so obviously some of these have been hampered since COVID came and we went into lockdown, and we restricted some of our like practical in-person activities when being in school. I'm sure very similar to lots of your schools, we sort of scaled back the amount of things we had been doing. But even now in lockdown and when we're delivering virtually, there's a lot of stuff. The first thing I would say is that our curriculum is packed full. So that Sam's gone through that and everyone's gone through that, but there's not many other media courses in the country that fill your week the way we do. So the compulsory masterclass, which is incredible, the screening. So there's a lot of like what might be traditional enrichment within the core curriculum anyway, I think. And then in addition to that, yeah, we do a lot. So, I mean, before we went into lockdown, we were doing a trip out every week. So we would do every week, one group would go out to see something we thought was important cultural. So some would go and see the play Hamilton, they would go to film sets, they would go to museums, they would do all sorts of incredible things and see amazing different things. They would go and some of them would go and work and be part of film sets. We're looking at lots of other things as well. So our current cohort have had a difficult time in that they haven't had access to all of these things. But I think you guys will be looking at overseas trips as well. So that's something that's very much on our radar, as well as all the traditional stuff. So we do football clubs, we have dance clubs lined up, we have a games club that got very active. So there's a whole host of things, and the games club and the football club, they're all student led. So we have staff and we have resource that goes along with that. But we go to students and say, what is it you want to set up and run? At the moment, we have a writers circle, so people that are interested in screenwriting and want to do more of that. We have a group that meet after school on Zoom and do that, and there's things we do in the virtual world. But it's a huge part of what we do in Richmond, and we believe that the stuff you're going to learn outside and do with the curriculum that we can't do within the school day is really, really important. So we're hugely supportive of looking at that in 1,000,001 different ways. So it's a great question.
Thanks, Charlie. The next question is for Jamie. This question comes from Instagram again, from a student. Jamie, the student would like to know, for the EPQ, do you have to do the artifact, as in film, or could you do the longer essay side?
Yeah, that's a very well-informed question. Somebody's obviously been doing their research on the EPQ. Yeah, so you can interpret the EPQ in a number of ways, and your outcome could be a number of different things, and lots of schools do produce an essay. We, however, have chosen to have it so that you don't produce an essay, you produce instead a series of documents to sum up your proposal for a film. So you are doing lots of writing, but it's not a traditional essay as such. You'll be producing a concept proposal, so a sort of summary of your idea, then a worked up full treatment, which explains the full story for your short film or your TV series. You'll be writing up research, writing up a sample of a script, and planning out a pitch that you would give as well to promote this idea. So there's lots of opportunity to put your skills of writing to the test and keep it really related to film. So that's what the artifact for our EPQ looks like.
Thank you, Jamie. The next question is from Instagram, and it's for Fiona. Fiona, hello. This student would like to know, is there a chance for students to make connections in the industry whilst at LSA?
Yeah, well, there's loads of opportunities. I have to say, when we were in the physical realm, we had masterclasses in school. So in the middle of our amazing A stage, which is currently a test centre, but that will hopefully not continue for much longer. And so, you know, all sorts of people from all levels in the industry, in the creative industries, would come in and do a masterclass once a week. And I remember quite a few times there was a very long line of students waiting to ask an individual question after the masterclass. So absolutely, at those events, people make connections, both in the room and personally with the speakers. But also one of the key parts, particularly of our Year 13 offer, is to allow students to take up the option of having a mentor, an industry mentor, either in a one-to-one setting or in a group arrangement where you get the opportunity to learn from your peers, own learning with your mentor. And we try to match our students up on the basis of where they want to go in their career, what area of the business they want to work in. And those students work with their mentor to you know, myth bust the industry, to come up with a good strategy for how they're going to find an entry-level job, to make contacts, to put their work forward and have industry people assess their work. So that's a really good example of how we offer students the opportunity to make links. But we also, you know, we have classroom drop-ins. So we have industry people coming into the classroom and actually working in the classrooms alongside teachers, helping support that learning, and also teaching some things that, you know, it's really difficult for teachers to convey if they're not doing that job every day. And absolutely, those people are in amongst you, and, you know, you're making contacts with them. And I think also we ensure that when students are, you know, in their final few terms at LSA, we are trying to help the students form pathways out into the industry. So looking at organisations that might be potential places where you could get employment, or freelancers that could help you in your future career. And we help try and encourage those for you to get to know those organisations and people, so you can, forge your own path into the industry. So that's just a few ways that we have industry come and work with the school, and all of those, I think, offer opportunities for students to sort of get to know people in the industry. Hope that answers your question.
Yes, I hope so too. I'm sure it does. Thank you. A lot of the questions that we're getting now are on issues that we've touched on before. So I'm going to go to the last question now, which is for Charlie. And that is, how many students will we be taking on this September?
Question. So we have approximately 380 spaces planned for September. And so just to link back to Sejal's previous point, is we have a rolling application basis, which, as Sejal says, we go right up into the summer, but we will close or move to a waiting list when we fill that space. So we would encourage you, there's no need at this stage to rush an application. We're not at that point, but I would say it's better for you to get your application in sooner rather than later to avoid disappointment. That's the advice we would always give. There's no absolute rush, but sooner rather than later, because you don't want to be disappointed if it fills up very quickly.
Perfect. All right, well, thank you everyone for joining us today for this open event. As we mentioned, we are launching taster sessions as of next Tuesday. We're kicking off with Nicola and Rachel from the costume department. We're going to be upcycling with the help of tie-dye, and there will be more every Tuesday and Thursday. So please sign up using the links on the website and have a lovely evening. If you have any more questions, if a question wasn't answered but you want some more detail or clarity, feel free to email us at inquiries@lsa.ac.uk. Thank you, everyone.